your financial mentor, Jamie Dimon, he went on CNBC and trending on Twitter and all this stuff. It's really for two main things. He did have a take on Trump, but then the other big thing that he said, he just went in on Bitcoin again. The other guy on the show said, well, one of the biggest things about Bitcoin is that there's actually a finite amount. There's only a certain amount. And once those are all mined, that's it. He said, oh, really? Is there? Because how do you know that Satoshi isn't going to come out and just delete all of Bitcoin?
At this point, you're just embarrassing yourself. Right. You're already the king of finance. Right. You're at Davos with Andrew Sorkin on national television. Your firm is the most innovative when it comes to cryptocurrency. Yep. They're partnered with BlackRock for the ETF. Yep. And you're going on saying it's for money laundering, sex trafficking, and drug use.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Cash. All right. Here we are. I'd like to apologize to the Cathys. My attendance in 2024 has been horrendous. My girlfriend had a birthday party on the night of the last one. I'm going to do better. So I want to start out by apologizing.
What'd you guys do for the birthday?
We did a party here at our, we have a unit here that we work out of. And so we did a party at that place on Sunday night. And then on Monday, which was her actual birthday, we did a dinner. So we had a little two-day extravaganza.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was nice.
I'm assuming sushi?
It was actually, you grew up in the Valley, Maria's on Ventura, right off of Coldwater. It's like I don't know how to say it. A not very
Maria's
fancy
Kitchen? Yeah, I know
Italian. It's just Corinne's,
I went there when I was a little kid.
Right. So Corinne grew up in the Valley, so did her friends, and they all went there when they were kids too. And that, for some reason, is her favorite spot at the moment. And so that's where we went. It was great. We shut it down. Went until they turned off the lights.
Awesome. And, just a quick update. I know on the last pod we talked about Dee and Javier.
Yes.
And their worldwide jaunt.
Yeah, do you have any updates?
Yeah. So they hadn't slept since Sunday morning come Monday night. Mm-hmm. So they took the red eye after the pod, straight to meetings all day Monday.
Yeah.
And Javier, I checked up on him. I was like, what's the vibe? He's like, we're heading to the airport to London. I haven't slept in 36 hours.
Yeah.
And now they're in Paris, which is even better. So they did London, I think, Tuesday. And then now they're in Paris meeting up with our good friend Jad, who's there for the Pharrell LV show, which was that yesterday? Or was that a run through?
I don't know. I saw it on social media, so I don't know exactly. But either yesterday or the day before. Yeah,
because it was all over social.
Yeah.
It was all over social. Yeah. So I have no idea if it was the run through or if it was the real show. And our friend Anish from LVMH and Dee's complaining nonstop right now, real time, that they're at Hotel Coast, which is, the fancy hotel where everyone goes and gets drinks. Yeah. And he says he has the worst table in the entire place.
Oh, no.
Said, Chad, you won't even be able to find me because it's the worst table in the entire hotel. And he's very upset.
Wow.
And I think the Parisians found out that Dee travels with no wallet.
Yeah.
And so when he checked in, they're like, this guy might skip out on the bill.
Yeah. And I think it shows the listener where our level of pull is, like if we're in LA or at an H-Wood event, we look like kings, but the hottest restaurant in Paris needs some work.
Yeah, like he barely got in probably.
Right. So, I think a lot of the things we say feel very, Hollywood elites. And look at that. Humbled.
It's a good humbling experience.
Yep.
That you have to go through what, a regular person
there you go.
goes through trying to being Fashion Week and showing off. And, for Javier, I'm sure he thinks it's the best table in the house.
Yeah.
Because he's never
Paris.
been to
Every table in
Paris.
Paris is the best table. Yeah.
But he's very ashamed of himself.
Yeah, I get it. Well, hey, it's good to be humbled.
I think he needed it.
Yeah. It's good to be humbled from time to time. And, Paris Fashion Week, we'll do that.
Yeah, and we'll get another check-in. They're there. I think they just got there today, and they're there through the weekend. So there'll be more Paris check-ins by the Sunday episode.
When are they back? Next week?
Yeah, he said 10 days from Monday. So,
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Wednesday of next week.
Okay, well, we'll keep everyone updated on Sunday, and then we'll get the full recap. We got to make sure Javier comes in next week to, I want to hear his take.
Yes, his take, because he was so hyped. And I texted him Monday morning. I was like, how are the boys? And he goes, firing. We're so hyped.
Just to be clear, it's just him, right?
Javier has never been to New York. Yeah, just him.
Okay.
But I just refer to him as the boys.
No, I get it. But what's funny is that he responds as the boys. He says, we're hyped.
He's the voice of the boys.
Yeah.
Because so what's going to be amazing about his recap is he's never been to New York. He's never been to Europe.
Yeah.
He's never been to any of these places.
Yeah.
And the people that he's going to be around in all these different cities.
Yeah.
And to see what his reaction and response
I can't
will
wait.
be.
Plus, sleep deprived. It's going to be a good combo.
The real problem for Javier, and we can recap on the next episode or whenever he comes back next Wednesday, is he's experiencing a pretty exclusive view of all these different cities. Yeah. And then when the boys actually want to go,
it's tough. It's tough.
They're going to be in Airbnbs and hostels.
It's tough. I mean, I feel like that's been a common theme with some of our staff, like some of our, like it is like,
and I'm not trying to be arrogant about it. I just know where he is.
Right. And that's why I keep saying it. That's why I keep stuttering, because I also don't want to sound like a fucking asshole. But I mean, I haven't done Paris or Fashion Week or things like that. But for us, even, it was like, Coachella, VIP, and Miami Art Basel and Super Bowl things. And, it's once you move on to a different job and it's you and your buddies, it's hard to keep up. Yeah,
there's a decent chance that he's going to see Pharrell tonight.
Right. He'll probably say hi to him. And then the next time he goes to Paris with
Pharrell may
boys,
dap him up.
Right. Then you're back in Paris with the boys and that shitty table doesn't look so bad, I get it. Listen, it'll be fun. It'll be really fun to hear both of their recaps from each of their perspectives. That's what I'm excited for.
Yep.
Love it.
Yeah. Totally.
Okay, let's talk about some news. We got a quick one today, but there is some fun stuff to talk about. The first thing is, which I kind of just talked about a little bit, but is Coachella. So every year, around this time, Coachella releases their lineup. Now, full disclaimer, this is how I know I'm getting a little old, is like, I feel like when that lineup used to come out, it was like a pretty big deal. And I also think like, we were a little bit more in the mix. And so some of these artists we might know personally, or, oh, cool, they got on the lineup there that day. Oh, look who's performing. Oh, that's going to be so fun. Let's start looking at houses. And, the Coachella lineup came out yesterday. And once again, I'll give the disclaimer, because I'm guessing if I was 23, I would be equally as excited. But I feel a little out of the loop. I mean, the headliners are Lana Del Rey, which obviously we know these people. Tyler, the Creator, great. Doja Cat, awesome. But I don't know. I just don't feel that same rush. And I don't know if that's all me or...
Yeah, it's unclear if we're just aged out.
Right.
Because this lineup doesn't get me excited.
Right.
But then Tyler, the Creator, has a cult following. We were kind of DMing with Risa, who has a better pulse on what the youth.
Right.
And she was like, Tyler, the Creator, has this crazy cult following.
Yeah. His will be great. Doja Cat will be great.
Josh said Lana Del Rey was a big thing.
Yeah, it's a big hit.
Yep. A lot of people like that.
Lana teased it on her Instagram because she has a song with the title with Coachella in it about a week and a half ago. And she has a really big cult following too.
Uh-huh.
And just the tease of it and like no announcement for 10, 13 days, like was driving them crazy. So that's something I've seen a lot of people excited for.
Yeah, I think all these headliners are pretty
good. There's a few Indians.
Really?
The Hindu card's coming.
Okay. I see Nav.
There's a guy, I have no idea who he is. Sid Sriram, but he's by his name, he's definitely Indian.
Yep, that's a safe bet.
And AP Dillon, who's an Indian rapper, who's like, there's a whole Indian rap scene in India, which is blown up, which is kind of fascinating.
Yeah, Nav is here. And final day. Nav, final on Sunday.
Yeah, Nav's there. Blondish, I saw in Mykonos. She's amazing.
Okay. I mean, it's good. I feel like it's probably mostly us.
It's light on rap, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, you're right.
Little Uzi Vert is. Who else is there from rap?
Lil Yachty.
It's interesting. It says and No Doubt. Like, where's No Doubt? Like, what's that mean? Where are they performing?
Do they do like the after?
I don't know. It's like a new little teaser we've never seen before.
DJ Seinfeld. Who's that? Must be D's favorite DJ.
Yeah, you're right. Might be D.
It might be D. That'd be really funny if D's DJ Seinfeld.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like...
but yeah, I mean, it's obviously sold out, I'm sure, already.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't matter. People go for the experience. You said you're going to go, right?
I'm going to go. I'm going to go do what I did last year. You know, probably stay one night, 2 days, you know, be there 2 days. I had fun. I didn't do anything other than the Revolve thing last year.
Did you go to the festival?
No. I just went to Revolve both days.
Got it. Yeah. Oh, we'll probably do a 24-hour turnaround.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, it was fun meeting up with you guys there, obviously seeing Michael and Risa and all them, and like, you know, everything's comfortable, John and Brian, all that. And you still get some performances. You still get, the biggest thing that I like now is just like seeing what's going on. Like, what are people wearing? Who is treated like a superstar? Who's not, you know, are the YouTubers hot? Are the, you know, who's the king of the social, you know, group? I like to see.
No, I totally love to just be like, it's a social observation of what's trending in society, because it changes very quickly.
Yeah, it does.
My guess this year, the TikTokers aren't as important. Maybe a few.
I think the highest level ones only. I think now there's just too many.
Yes.
You know, there's too many mid-levels.
Yeah, like, right. I think, what do you think the threshold is? 50 million followers?
Yeah, I think it's only like the D'Amelios.
50 million followers for like John, Brian, Risa telling everyone he has to get in or she has to get in.
I think it's D'Amelio level. I just think there's too many like little famous, like you're huge on TikTok and you probably do really well for yourself and all that stuff, but there's just too many now. Last year it was like, oh, this emerging, you know, like, I don't know, there was less competition socially.
I saw clips on TikTok. I don't know if it's come on your radar, that Taylor Holder was saying he was making $200,000 a month at his peak.
Oh, I mean, I guess anything's possible.
That's a big number.
Yeah. I've just never, I work with some TikTok, like, you know, agencies and stuff like for our influencer work. And I've asked every single one of them and I've never gotten a straight answer that makes any sense about how that level of money, like, unless it's a girl who's also doing OnlyFans, or obviously someone has a brand that's doing well, but like just on brand deals and sponsored pages, I don't know. I think that probably what's more realistic is like he had 2 months where he made $200,000 and so it becomes, I was making 200 grand a month.
Got it. Yep. That makes sense. Cause I didn't believe the number.
Cause don't get me wrong. I think you can make, you know, 50 grand a month consistently at a high level. And that's a lot of money, especially when there's no, operating cost. It's just literally your
full margin
cash. Yeah. But I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm willing to be wrong 100%, but I've never gotten a straight answer of how anyone could be making that just from like sponsored posts.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll see. That'll be fun. We know we can both go there for that. We'll see what's going on. That's the funnest part of all of it. I don't feel any need from this list to go to the festival. Who knows? But hey, it's fun. We're still young. We're still going to be there.
Yeah, we have to have the pulse on the culture.
We're journalists. It's our job.
Yeah.
Okay, here's some pulse of the culture. This is a big jump, but Vivek Ramaswamy officially, ended his campaign. They had the Iowa caucus, which, sidebar, Trump just fucking absolutely dominated, which is wild. And, Vivek just didn't do well at all. He was below Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley. He bailed out. But the interesting thing was like, look, I haven't really taken in a lot of Vivek content, but from what I saw, he was like kind of dancing around like how much he supported. Like, he said he supported his policies and he thought he was a great president, but he also had like a couple tweets and stuff about, what was wrong with him and how polarizing and all that stuff he was. But the moment he bailed out, he got on stage with Trump and gave this like wild speech that was like incredibly pro-Trump. So that's, all over the news, and that's where Vivek is today. What do you think?
Yeah, so
I know you're not a fan.
No, I'm not a fan of him at all in any instance, and I think this kind of proves his character.
Yeah.
So 2 days prior to the Iowa caucus, Trump just destroys him on Truth Social.
Right. Yeah.
Calls him deceitful. He's not MAGA. This isn't the guy you should even care about.
Yeah.
And he polls at 4%, fourth in the race in Iowa. I think Donald Trump is 75%, which is bananas.
Yep.
He didn't even campaign in Iowa,
nuts.
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He didn't even campaign.
Yep.
He showed up the weekend of the actual vote.
Yep.
And he got 75% of the vote. And 24 hours later, Ramaswamy just shows up kissing his ass like, you're the man. This guy just like destroyed you 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And like, look, he's not a career politician, because I get why career politicians have to play this game, because that's their only livelihood. This guy's already loaded.
Yeah.
Like, what self-worth do you have when you're like super rich and the big bad Donald Trump shits on you, and you just go back the next day and say, he's my guy.
Yeah.
We all need to rally. Like, what's your goal?
Well, your goal is to that's why politics is so fucking dumb, because everyone does that. Even Trump, had a negative tweet about him like the day before, and then Trump obviously embraced him. And it's just all like this stupid popularity contest. And I think his goal is like, look, the guy went from complete obscurity, no one ever even knowing he existed, to now like a pretty big name in the Republican Party. And so, he's going to attach himself to who he sees as the winner. He's going to ride that momentum. Maybe he gets a great job in the cabinet, or who knows, maybe he's VP. I doubt it. But the point is, it's just fame, and it's just fame.
Staying
it's just
relevant.
Fame.
Yeah.
It's not money. It's just now you are a name. Now you're, what does Vivek think? What does Vivek think?
Yeah, because the thing with him, he's not playing the revolving door where you go get the pharmaceutical job after, because he's already rich.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not like he needs any more money in his life, and he's 37 or 38 or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just, how do you, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe if I had that kind of money, you kind of have to have character at some point where you're like, I need to stand up for what I believe in. If someone's shitting on me publicly, 24 hours later, I'm going to go tell him he's the greatest guy of all time.
Yeah. But we've been, here's where our bubble comes in handy. We've been around this stuff enough to know that the only thing that can make, or the number one thing that can make a rich person act, like a fucking idiot is fame. It's like the thing they don't have.
Famous.
Right. And now he's famous. And now he's going to hopefully, in his mind, ride the Trump thing to even more fame. But we saw it. It happens every year in politics, or especially every election. But like, I think we really saw it in 2016, where every Republican was like bashing Trump. And then when he got the nomination, they had no choice but to rally around him. And you just saw, I think you saw a little bit more of people kind of regrettingly doing it. But like, either way, all those people that had just been bashed by him and they had bashed him turned around and, oh, he's a great guy. He's going to be a great leader. It's just so dumb. It's so transparent and stupid.
Yeah. And do people see through it, or does he just keep rising in the popularity ranks now that Trump has embraced him in Iowa? He's the 75 million people are going to embrace Trump. Yeah. And this is his puppet.
It's that, unfortunately, I think.
And nothing matters.
I think it's that, unfortunately. I think people just forget. And they don't, a lot of people didn't see that Truth Social post. A lot of people, blah, blah, blah. And it just, a couple months goes by and Trump's dominating and Vivek is right there by his side. And you just forget. You just associate them together. You just forget.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's obviously going to work.
I mean, I got to say, as another example, and also just to talk about the other side, like when Trump was president and they thought that he was about to roll out the vaccine with his Operation Warp Speed or whatever. And I mean, there's video of Biden and Kamala Harris and everybody saying, who's going to take that vaccine? I wouldn't take that vaccine. I wouldn't trust that vaccine.
Yeah, I think it was Kamala Harris.
Right. And then the moment they get in office, it's like the greatest vaccine ever. It's like the whole thing is just stupid.
Yeah.
I do think in general, people are getting tired of it, but I do think people will fall for it.
People are getting tired of it, but we don't have a choice.
Right. It works. It's just, it's funny how, and the internet just makes it more and more and more visible. All of these like discrepancies, Yeah,
it's what was fascinating about Vivek polling so low, 4%. That's basically nothing.
Yeah.
But if you were to go on social media, even though he was projected to be fourth, so we know he's projected, but if you were to go on social media, you would have thought this guy had a shot. We actually kind of talked about it on Sunday, D and I, like there's something happening here where his posts are going viral, and it just proves social media has nothing to do with real life.
Right. But imagine how he has felt for the last 6 months. He has felt so important. Like he went from complete obscurity to like, you're hanging out with Jake Paul at his training camp. You're doing podcasts with everybody. Your posts are going viral. Like this guy.
Yeah, he did the Nelk Boys, right?
Yeah.
Didn't he do that?
Yeah, he just got like the drug hit of fame directly injected. I mean, even though people aren't going to vote for him, he's on now.
He's addicted to the fame drug because that's the only reason you would just jump onto Trump, who shitted on you 24 hours prior.
Yeah, it's stupid. It's just, that's how it goes every election. And it's so dumb. And like I said, I do think people are getting, they're getting sick of it in general, but the process still works. Like I said, Vivek, no one's going to remember that in a month. How that went, how that transition happened.
Because the news cycle just goes so fast, it doesn't matter.
Right. It's just, man, we are in for 10 months of just nonstop content.
Yeah, nonstop content. And I know it's a little below, but we should talk about Dean Phillips.
Yeah, what's going on with old Dean?
He's a Democratic candidate.
Yeah, obviously he was on All In. And
he was on All In, founder of Belvedere Vodka.
Yep.
He's also made a fortune.
What's the update on him?
He's polling like crazy in New Hampshire.
Really?
He's like 26% of the vote, which obviously is not going to beat Biden, but to go from like 0 to 26%, he's clearly resonating with people. Bill Ackman just gave $1 million. Bill Ackman just gives everyone $1 million.
Yeah.
He gave Vivek money.
Yeah, we need to think of something to ask Bill Ackman for. Yeah,
exactly.
Hey,
give us $1 million.
I'm looking for donations to take down MIT. Here's $1 million.
So I think it's fascinating that he's growing in wild popularity, and there's a lot of calls for him to be the candidate. My only exposure to him, to be very transparent, was the All In podcast. Yeah. And I thought he was like extremely intelligent and articulate. And I mean, does a guy like him have a chance, or is he just another Vivek?
I mean, I would think no way in hell, but if he's polling so well, I just don't even know where people are being exposed to him.
Yeah.
He's not.
And like now on Twitter, people are talking about him like Biden should step down and Dean Phillips. But I mean, I don't know. It's not going to happen. And Biden has the machine.
I mean, look, I don't like the guy at all, and I don't want him to be president, but like, they got to go with Gavin Newsom. Mm-hmm. Unless Michelle Obama is like, there's like all these rumors, which I don't think are true, that like Michelle Obama is like waiting. I don't think any of them are true. But like, what are you doing? Like, especially when you see Trump's numbers, like that's real. That's not social media. That's not like he fucking dominated. You gotta, like, what's your plan? You can't tell me you're going to roll with Biden, man. You gotta do something.
Yeah, and they're not going to debate. No one's debating.
Hell no.
So that's over in democracy.
Right.
No one wants to debate opinions and philosophies.
But think about like Trump is so good, that like he's such a good debater that essentially he killed debating. Also, Biden's, not fit to do it, but like the debate has been a part of this system forever.
Yeah.
But Trump's just too fucking,
It's going to be the biggest roller coaster of the next 10 months. Yeah. And what the Democrats do, unclear.
Yeah. You got to do something, man.
Like, what do you think the power brokers, like, what are they saying in the background? And clearly Trump's winning the nominee. There's no question. None of these guys have a shot. Biden would obviously win the nominee too. But knowing if Biden goes against Trump, the polling's pretty bad. He's down in Michigan, down in Georgia, down in Pennsylvania, all the states that swing an election.
I mean, I can't wrap my head around it, because to me, it seems like for the power brokers, it's such an insane misfire. Like, what are you doing? Like, you gotta like do something quick, like, and not that I'm rooting for the power brokers, but I'm just saying if I'm that team, I'm saying, what are you doing? Because just sort of coasting or trying to like last minute throw in a Gavin Newsom. I feel like even with Gavin Newsom, like you got to have a little bit of time to like rebuttal all of the criticism that's going to come.
We're almost in February. Right. So if there's a switcheroo,
right.
The switcheroo has to happen in the next 30 days.
Right. I don't know how they can think that like you can just coast in with Biden. The only thing I can imagine is that their system for the power brokers is so awesome right now because like Biden doesn't contribute much. And so they really just get to do what they want,
they control him.
Right.
They're the power.
So my only guess is that is such an awesome setup that they're like, God, can we just try to keep this going 4 more years? Because it must be great for them.
Yeah, they got to do whatever they want.
I mean, think about it.
Whatever.
If you're the military industrial complex, you're the pharmaceutical, you just are like, please just give us 4 more years.
Right. I mean, that's only an explanation.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. But like I said, 10 months of there will be no shortage of content here on Group Chat, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Speaking of the Trump thing, this will kind of is a 2-parter, but your best mentor, your financial mentor, Jamie Dimon, so I'll start with this is, he went on, what was it, MSNBC and CNBC. And, he did this interview and now he's like trending on Twitter and all this stuff. It's really for two main things. The first thing, which is similar to what we were just talking about, is he did have a take on Trump that I actually thought was totally reasonable, where he said, essentially like, we need to stop acting like all of these Trump voters are like crazy and everyone's, just another Donald Trump and, let's make fun of them and they're crazy. He was pretty good on the economy. He was pretty good on wars. He was pretty good on immigration. And those people they like that and they're voting for that. And so like, stop kind of demonizing them or stop like just being like, oh, they're just idiots. That's why. And like, it's an oversight and it's a mistake by the Democrats. I agree with that, but people are going a little crazy about that. Obviously the Republicans are like, yeah, fuck yeah. And then, the left is not happy. But then the other big thing that he said, he just went in on Bitcoin again. And, luckily he's here with a really good warning to us. And I think you've been very bullish on Bitcoin since like, who knows when, 2010. And I don't know if you've thought about this. And that is that there is a real risk. The other guy on the show said, well, similar to gold, has a lot of things in common with gold. And one of the biggest things about Bitcoin is that there's actually a finite amount. There's only a certain amount. And once those are all mined, that's it. And that's a really good perk. And he said, oh, really? Is there? Because how do you know that Satoshi isn't going to come out and just delete all of Bitcoin? And, so he obviously said he wouldn't participate in it. He thinks essentially that the government should ban it. It's only used for money laundering and prostitution and all the worst things in the world. And it doesn't make any sense. And so the internet's just mainly going ape shit over that take more so than the Trump thing. Because look, I think that you can be pro Bitcoin or not, but his takes are pretty bad. Like
they're really bad. So the Trump thing, I think what he said was reasonable in the sense that like you can't call half the country morons if that's who they're voting for, because it's going to be a 50-50 election. So whatever. And that's a reasonable take. We don't want to think 50% of the country's an idiot.
Yeah.
That's not a good way to have a productive society. Yeah. Regardless of what your politics are. The Bitcoin thing is just embarrassing at this point. First of all, he calls him Satoshi.
Right.
It's Satoshi who wrote the white paper. And no one knows who Satoshi is. People have assumptions. It's a group of various people that wrote this white paper, and we'll never know. And I don't even think the people that created it want people to know that it's them. Secondly, you're this big bad CEO at JP Morgan. You're the king of finance.
Yeah.
You can take a engineering 101 class at your local university. It's in code.
Yeah.
It's software. It's code.
Yeah.
It can't just be increased. There could be another coin that comes, sure. Yeah. But Bitcoin can't just be increased.
Right, but Satoshi could delete
this
it.
Is like Satoshi. And at this point, you're just embarrassing yourself. Right. You're already the king of finance.
Right.
You're at Davos with Andrew Sorkin and all these different guys on national television with clips that are going viral. Yeah. And your firm is the most innovative when it comes to cryptocurrency of any of the big banks. Yeah. They've been ahead of the curve on everything. They're partnered with BlackRock for the ETF. Yeah. And you're going on saying it's for money laundering, sex trafficking, and drug use. You sound insane.
It just feels like a weird, like personal, like he missed out on something, or there's a personal vendetta that is clouding his judgment, because I think it's totally reasonable to say, hey, I don't believe in it. That's just my opinion. I don't believe in it. I'm more a fan of, whatever he said, like dividend producing, assets or whatever the fuck. But like to go that nuanced in your take and have that take be so bad, that Satoshi's going to delete it. That just sounds like something that like one of my cousins would say.
You sound like a crazy old guy.
Yeah.
No, you sound like the crazy old guy at Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
That you just ignored, like your crazy uncle. Right. You're like, there's crazy Joe, right. Just with his ridiculous takes. Right. And you're the CEO of one of the biggest banks in the history of America.
It's just not a
history
good
of the
take.
world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, number one, I think it's pretty likely that, he's proven wrong. He's just sort of increasingly being proven wrong as time goes on. And I think that'll just continue. The problem is like the firm actually, like you said, they're not taking that stance. So financially,
exactly.
Like financially, JP Morgan is going to benefit if Bitcoin and crypto does well. He'll probably do a Vivek moment of, yay, I love crypto. Did I tell you how much I love Bitcoin? Like, I don't know. I mean, unfortunately, it'll probably just get kind of wiped from the memory banks because it's not like JP Morgan as a whole is missing out on.
I have in my one of my chats, a very pro crypto person texted, "It is difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on his not understanding it." But this is the problem, right? He's obviously an incredibly accomplished business person to be at the helm of one of the great financial institutions of all time. But this is going to be your legacy. Yeah. Like when you think about the clips and the tweets that are going to come about Jamie Dimon, it's this.
That's why I don't get, why would you give such takes? Like, why don't you just say, I'm not a fan?
Yeah, it's similar how people, even though Bill Gates is like trying to cure malaria, cure everything. Yeah. What are people going to, in like the social media hot take? It's the chips.
Yeah, and Epstein. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He created one of the best technology companies of all time. It doesn't matter. He's donated his entire life to curing diseases in Africa, India, Pakistan. Right. No one cares about any of that. All they care about are two things.
Yeah, it's just...
It'll be similar with him.
Because, obviously he's an incredibly smart guy. Like, obviously he's fucking so smart and so accomplished. It just is weird to me that he would... And the way he was talking
just
on that interview, triple down, but like give these almost like kind of like funny, like, I don't give a shit. Can we stop talking about this? Like, yeah, what happens if Satoshi... Like, just say it's not for you. But why would you stick your neck out like that? That if you are wrong, which you're, like I said, increasingly wrong every week, why would you have that on record?
Why aren't the interviewers? Why isn't Sorkin and
because he sucks,
the other guys on the panel just say like, wait, what about your firm being involved in all these crypto initiatives?
Because he sucks. I do not like Sorkin. He's such a like, well, what's your take? Well, okay, all right. And tomorrow on,
I guess that's how you get him to get back on, right? To not push back.
Right.
Because if you were to push back.
But now you just let him look like an idiot. I'm sure he's not happy. You think he wants to go back on now that he sees he's trending on Twitter for being an idiot? Like, at least challenge him and try to get, I would like to know, he's obviously incredibly smart. Like, tell me more about this. It's not that Satoshi's going to delete it. Like, what is your give me a more nuanced take, because nothing he said there, I, as like a idiot, compared to like real crypto people, had a couple questions that weren't addressed. Like, what is the difference with gold? Can you tell me the difference? Just curious, just a basic question.
And he can't, because he has to say Satoshi's going to delete it, because the difference between gold is you could keep mining gold. Right. You can't keep mining Bitcoin once 21 million coins are mined.
Right. But what I'm saying is like, why is gold a not even arguably a good, asset or store of value? Like, what's the difference? And Bitcoin, anything that's different is a Bitcoin improvement on gold. But to say like, I don't like it, doesn't have any use case. Well, what use case does gold have? Like, I'm not going into Target and paying with gold. Like, what is it? Just that? Is it just that I can't go pay at Starbucks with my Bitcoin? Is that the problem?
And I've said this a million times on this podcast, so it's going to sound repetitive for people who've listened. If you're going to do illicit activities, the easiest way to get away with it is cash, not on a digital ledger.
Right.
Like when you want to, if you have a bookie, you're paying cash.
Yeah.
If you have a drug dealer, they're showing up, you're paying cash.
But also, like, does Jamie Dimon own any art?
I'm sure he does. Of course, he's filthy rich.
So what's the use case? It's just a store of value. It's something that we agree is worth something. And so it's a good investment. It's not like these are the sort of questions that I would love to hear how you rationalize saying that it's stupid when, like, paint on a canvas isn't.
Yeah, let's see your penthouse in Manhattan.
Right.
How much ink on a canvas is in there?
Right. I just don't get it. Those are some easy questions that I am curious about. But anyway, look, I think it's just weird. It's weird to me that a guy in his position would take such a strong stake. And also when every time he's done it, he has to have known that there's been quite a bit of backlash. And look, at the end of the day, if nothing else, it's going to start being bad for JP Morgan. Like, it's a bad look the more increasingly wrong you are about such a big topic.
Yeah. And so for listeners, this is all happening at Davos, which is the World Economic Forum, which is where all the elites come. The deep state.
Yep.
This is the deep state.
Yep.
And
the globalists.
It's known as the highest number of hookers show up to Davos to service the elites. These are all like publicly known things.
Weekend.
I have two very good friends at Davos, so I'm going to try to get stories before Sunday. To hear what the elites have planned for us.
Oh, I would love to. Yeah. I'd love to know some of the real, what's really going on at Davos.
It's not the like public conferences where they're like talking. It's the fireside chat, like at whatever hotel in Davos where everyone's staying. Right. I can't imagine. What do you think the price of a hotel is in Davos this week? 10K?
Yeah, it could be anything.
15?
You can price it whatever you want. Yeah. I'd love to have some boots on the ground at Davos.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get it by Sunday.
Okay, how about this? Hertz, the rental car company, is having a problem. Everyone's talking about electric vehicles, mainly Teslas, and they're really popular, obviously. I forget the numbers off the top of my head, but, the Tesla like Model 3 or something was the best-selling car last year. Like, there's some big numbers like that. But it looks like Hertz made a big investment into Teslas and EVs in general for their fleet, and not working out. Turns out people don't want to rent Teslas, and so now they're having to sell a big chunk of these cars.
What I've actually found, if you've ordered an Uber X, it's all Model 3s.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the gas component.
Smart.
It's smart.
But I wonder why.
I'm curious why no one wants to rent them.
Why is it maybe because, this is my take, and this is just a wild guess, it's because when you're like home, you figure out your charging system. Most people have it at their house. And and that's just, now you have your habit. I come home, I plug in my car, whatever. But when you're renting a car, like, your rental house or your hotel might not have the thing. And so now you're what?
I mean, that has.
What are you saying?
Yeah, that has to be it. That people just have this intimidation factor. What happens if I lose battery? What happens if I can't find a place to charge? I don't want to deal with it. Let me just get good old fossil fuels.
Yeah, burn some coal.
Going. And
I feel like the charging thing is so great when it's like I said, you go home, you plug it in at night, and you forget what a gas station is even like. But if you don't have that, it's not a good experience. It's not like there's Tesla charging stations just all over,
I mean, I'm not a fan of Teslas.
Why?
I don't like the ride. I don't like the interior. Yeah. It feels a little claustrophobic.
Yeah, that's fine. I won't argue on that take. But I will say, Karine has one.
Nothing to do with Elon. Nothing to do with
Yeah,
Elon.
yeah.
I just actually don't like the experience.
No, I have no argument. But Karine has one, and we have a charger in our building, and so she parks and they plug it in, and she hasn't obviously went to a gas station in years, and like the thought of going to a gas station seems so weird and old school, and that's kind of cool. But when you're traveling, like if I'm going to Ohio, I rent a car whenever I go to Ohio. I would never rent an electric car.
Yeah, you don't want that in your agenda.
Right.
Okay, so now where do I charge this thing?
Right. Well,
when there's a gas station every 3 blocks.
I think it's one of those things that like once there's so many that you see, every gas station has a Tesla charging port. Maybe.
Yeah.
Still a long way to go there. Okay, how about this? We are in 2024, which the whole thing about 2024 was supposed to be that this will be the year of interest rate cuts. We've been slowly, or not slowly, but quickly raising them up until this point. And the whole thing was, we're going to start cutting in 2024. Everyone's been ready. Quote unquote, the market priced it in. Here we go. Party's back on, but maybe not, or maybe not right away. Or what's the word there?
Yeah. So the 10-year yield is what you kind of look at for where interest rates are going. And it was dipped below 4% leading into the end of the year. This is why everyone thought the party was back on. Yep. The 10-year creeped up to 4.1%, indicating that there might not be as many rate cuts as everyone thinks. And so growth stocks, basically risk assets, all took a nosedive in the last 2 days. Yep. And there's no indication because the CPI came in a little hot last week. And the economy is still booming, as much as I know Dee talks to a lot of people saying the consumer is soft, but there's nothing indicating that in terms of data. Yeah. And it's just uncertainty at this point. So the market, from a gambling perspective, you look at the odds, was baking in 6 to 7 rate cuts, but it could be 3 to 4 rate cuts. Yeah. And because of the uncertainty, there's just selling and buying and selling and buying, and we won't know until it actually happens.
Yeah, the thing that I didn't really think of, once again, I'm no economist here, is like, in order to get the rate cuts, you're going to need the economy to like slow down. There's a lot of people still worried about a recession this year. Obviously we've heard from Dee, and I've seen it too in my world, that like, foot traffic is definitely down. These big retailers are down. But you're going to have to get some pain. We got so used to like zero interest rate, and it was just like, no matter, everyone's doing great. Interest rates are still zero, essentially, where everyone's still doing great, like for 10 years. But like, it's going to feel like pain before we get those cuts. It's not going to be just all fine and dandy.
Yeah. I don't think the economy's suffering much at all.
Yeah. I wouldn't say suffering. No, I think there are some slow spots, but I don't think there hasn't been any crazy numbers yet.
No.
Yeah.
Without sounding like a total douchebag, a friend of mine wanted me to accompany him in a open house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
8-figure house.
Yep.
There were 50 people minimum that showed up. And I was like, there's no recession.
Oh my God. In LA?
There's in LA, in Beverly Hills.
Wow.
And I was just like, what the hell is going on that there's this many people interested in a $16 million house?
Yeah, I get it. I think that we've heard some like, oh, this person's soft, this retailer's soft, but I don't know that there hasn't been any.
And the realtor that was showing my friend, for the record, it's not me. I'm not the one looking at this house. But the friend had a realtor with them. He said whoever is the developer of the house spent $20,000 for this showing. There was sushi. There was multiple bars. There was food everywhere. There was like a violinist.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah. It's so ridiculous. Once you get into that level, like sometimes Kevion, our friend will go look at those like, $20 million open houses. I've went with him a couple of times and it's just another world. But the open houses are never empty. You're right. Always people interested.
Like, are people, I mean, you're not going there for the sushi.
No, it would be a good deal though if you were struggling. That's like a movie. Just hop around and get some sushi and listen to some violin.
It's like the stories you hear about the people that like just go to the first class lounges and just eat for free.
It's like Wedding Crashers kind of. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, we'll see. I feel like once again I'm not very well educated in this world, but for ever since COVID, it has felt to me like nothing makes sense when it comes to the stock market, the general economy, jobs, job availability.
And the new stimmy's coming. Not to sound morbid, the new stimmy's coming. The boomers.
I know what's going to happen. Like, what's that actually going to look like? It's got to be a lot of spending.
Yeah, it's just going to be unlimited amount of spending. Hotel rates haven't gone down anywhere. Flights are more expensive than ever.
Yep.
Nothing stopped.
Yeah, I'm so curious to see what happens, but I do think that just planning I think for me at least, I didn't realize how good we had it during that decade of QE or whatever you want to call it, and even really in COVID, like I thought, oh my God, like everything's going to fall off a cliff and it's done. This is the worst. We're in the Great Depression, which we should have been. But I also didn't take into consideration how long that goddamn stimmy would last, apparently. Like that felt like 3 years of somehow all of that money being really used in the market. And it's just so confusing to me. But I kind of had this vision of like 2024, turn the party back on, cut rates, everyone's partying. But if inflation is that high and these things are happening, it's just not going to quite go that way.
Yeah, I think the rate cuts are just basically to save the regional banks and commercial real estate. That's the only thing. There's no other reason to cut.
It's just funny because we said all along, like Jay Powell needs to see blood on the sidewalks. We have said that for a long time now, and we haven't got that yet.
No, I don't even think we're close.
Right. My question is, do they ease off? Is this part of the elites? One of the if you are going to bet on Biden, one of the tools is lower rates, get the economy popping this year, no matter what's happening.
Yep.
It's a good tool if you believe in, kind of the dark room that everyone's in together, conspiring.
Yep. We'll see. Davos, they're figuring it out.
The hookers know.
They're deciding
the hookers in Davos know right now what our future is.
They're like the Nancy Pelosi. They're going to be the insider trading.
Right. I bet you have to kind of keep an eye on them. I bet you there's like some big trades that happen. I mean, think about it. If you're like, your cousin-in-law was like a Davos hooker, you'd be like, well, hey, I mean, let me know what Jamie says.
What did Jamie
What's
say?
The pillow talk, What's he really think about Bitcoin?
The pillow talk. I mean? There's a lot of pillow talk in Davos.
Trillions of dollars worth of pillow talk. Oh, man. All right. That's what we got, right? Did we miss anything?
Yeah, no, I think we're good. Winners losers content.
Okay. Oh yeah, winners losers content. I'm tripping. I always forget that. What do you got? I'm going to try to.
Yeah, my winner is Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield. He was basically written off as an NFL quarterback about 18 months ago.
I remember that.
He got waived. He got waived by the Browns. The Rams signed him as a backup.
Yeah.
He had a little success with the Rams in the handful of games he played. Came into this season with no contract. The Buccaneers picked him up on a 1-year deal. No one expected anything of him. No one expected anything of the Buccaneers. Monday Night Football beats the Eagles and has going to the divisional round games, and it's just an amazing comeback story. We've gotten to know him a little bit. I think D knows him pretty well.
Yeah.
And it's just the beauty of sports where these comeback stories are so awesome. He's going to get paid now.
Yeah.
So he went from kind of being on, this 1 year deal, like hopefully I could stay in the league.
Yeah.
You win a playoff game in the NFL, you're set. Yeah. Someone's giving him, a 3-4 year deal that's going to pay him a crap load of money. And it's pretty cool to see that when you have resilience and determination, and it's good. This is why, I love sports so much. It's such a good parallel to life. Yeah. He could have easily just given up. Right. And he could have easily just been he was his number one pick in the NFL draft. Yeah. And 4 years in, the whole league wrote him off. And he had to grind. He had to be a backup. He had to put in the work. And now he's back. Yeah. And he's playing, I don't know if he's the Saturday game or the Sunday game, but big time NFL football. Yeah. And it's just applicable to life. You got to just grind.
Yeah. Yeah. That's got to be a really hard ego check, because when you're a college star and you're coming into the league like that and you're just feeling yourself. And I think taking a loss is really hard it's hard to be okay, now I need to put my head down and work. I'm not what I thought I was. That's a tough pill to swallow. And he obviously did it and it paid off. He's great. He's always been so nice to us. I mean, great guy.
Yep.
My winner, I just had it. Oh, you know what my winner is the Bear. I love the Bear and I hate award shows, but it looks like the Bear just cleaned up at the Emmy. It was the Emmys, right?
Yeah. Emmys were on, I think, Monday,
it looks like they just cleaned up at the Emmys. I think they cleaned up at the Oscar. I don't know. I've seen these photos of the stars holding multiple different trophies at all the award shows. It just did really well. It's a great show. That's it. I love it. Congrats to them. I also saw, there's a guy named Matty Matheson who did a lot of shows on Vice and stuff. And he was actually on my old podcast, Short Story Long. And he's the most hilarious, funny guy. He also is relatively young, but has had a heart attack. Survived, and I saw a video of him accepting the award and at least being on the microphone for a second. So happy for him, but shout out to the Bear, big winner.
Great.
Who's your loser?
My loser is someone who I've actually been a fan of for over a decade, Bill Simmons.
Oh, what'd he do?
So have you followed the Pat McAfee, Jimmy Kimmel stuff?
Just what you send into the group chat. I saw Jimmy Kimmel's monologue about him. I saw Aaron Rodgers' response.
Yeah. So Bill Simmons, who I've been a big fan of for over 10 years, listened to all his content, appreciate his content. Yeah. So Jimmy Kimmel's his guy.
Yep.
He has him on the podcast at least once or twice a year. He calls him his cousin.
Yeah.
He calls him Cousin Jimmy. Yeah. And that's his guy. And he addressed on his podcast, why aren't you he's I've got reached out by a lot of people. Why aren't you addressing this topic? And he goes, I'm not interested.
Okay. And
this is a guy who sold his company for $250 million. Right. I think he cleared 225 of the 250. Jesus. He owned the vast majority of the company. Okay. They talk about how rich he is on the podcast, as an inside joke with his friends. How are you not what else is there in life if you're not standing up for your boy?
Yeah.
Money's not an issue anymore.
But he must not agree with them, right?
And then they started taking jabs at Pat McAfee, basically kind of calling it dummy content without addressing it. And I'm you don't listen to the show. It's not dummy content. I listen to Pat McAfee. This guy's extremely talented. Yeah. Just because he wears chains and a tank top to do 3 hours and have insightful, entertaining content for 3 hours on sports with the best guests that no other podcast network can get. You can't talk shit about it.
Plus, it's fucking entertainment. Like, when did we expect Pat McAfee to be like a scholar and a philosopher? You know, like, he's fucking entertaining. He's making entertainment, as are you two idiots. And I don't know.
Yeah, and his own staff, there's like content calling Pat McAfee the world's biggest asshole. You know what Bill Simmons and Cousin Sal do every week in the NFL season is talking about how stupid every NFL coach is and who's going to get fired. That's their content. So how are you shitting on Pat McAfee, who's actually very positive? He doesn't talk shit.
Yeah.
Sure, Rodgers comes on and talks shit, but he doesn't.
It's just that bitter. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's been this trend. Maybe it's always happened and now it's just more like getting exposed. But like, there's this trend of this like this high and mighty, snobby.
Yes,
we're
exactly.
better than you, and
just
you're an idiot, and you're a fucking, and it's just like, yeah.
It just rubbed me so the wrong way because half of the Simmons content is talking about players sucking, coaches getting fired, and all this stuff, and they make fun of everyone, which is fine. It's good content. I like it, but don't shit on another product. And then stand up for your boy.
But now you see the mentality that probably led to the type of stuff Pat McAfee's talking about. Like, he's the new guy. He's the new guy. And the people who, Bill Simmons was the ultra new guy when he started. And you turn into the old guard, like that's why this is a big leap, but that's why I like doing things like going to Coachella and seeing what's going on. Because I want to know, I'm open to it. As opposed to a lot of people just kind of hate on the new thing.
And judging a book by its cover is the biggest thing. And this is why Trump got elected. Because a lot of people felt judged by their cover and they didn't like what the establishment was doing. And I don't know when people are going to learn these things. Like, I'm not the Pat McAfee typical consumer, but once I started listening to it, I was like, oh, this shit's good.
Yeah. He's good. He's entertaining. Okay. That's a good one. Loser. You know what? I'm going to give my loser right out of the, once again, the group chat here. My loser is Harvard, because 20% of Harvard MBA graduates are without a job 3 months after graduating, which is double what it was in 2022. So, these Ivy League schools are under fire at the moment. I think they are stupid. And, there's nothing like some data to say, hey, what the fuck are you guys even doing anyway? And that's some bad data. It's not catastrophic, but it's not good. And you pay and you go to Harvard, I would imagine you don't want to be lingering around begging for a job. And the fact that the numbers are going up. So Harvard's my loser.
Yeah, and especially when you spend $120,000 to go to business school.
And the amount of money they make.
That's a tough pill to swallow if you're a Harvard grad coming out, no job. And even if you have a job, it's not what you probably thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Content recommendations for the week. What do you got? Football?
NFL divisional round games. This is like one of the best weekends of the NFL weekend. We got games all day Saturday, all day Sunday.
I love it. Even as a non-football fan, like even going into like the grocery store and just all of the displays are like Super Bowl. Like I just get amped up even though I'm not even into it. It's just they do such a good job at like this is an American holiday. Super Bowl and Super Bowl time, Yeah. Like July 4th.
Oh, and another thing, someone on The Ringer called Dave Portnoy the world's biggest douchebag. Yeah. Like, get over yourself.
Yeah. It's that mentality. Is that like elitist, like I'm better, everyone else is an idiot thing?
Yeah, sorry. I just had a bone to pick. It really pissed me off.
Okay, football. Mine is UFC. We got a big UFC fight this weekend. Sean Strickland versus Dracus Duplessis. UFC, maybe 297. I don't remember, but it's gonna be really good. That's it.
Who's favored?
Sean Strickland is slightly favored. But I don't know who I would bet on. You know, it's an interesting matchup. But it's a big deal. So like, just to give you a little bit of insight, like Sean Strickland is a very like kind of Trumpy, like all these men are soft and you should have guns and fucking know how to fight and like, fuck, you know, like he's that type of guy. And he said some wild shit. And so he had a fight against Israel Adesanya that it was for the belt, and everybody thought that Israel was going to win like pretty easily. Like they kind of thought it was just like a filler fight. And Sean Strickland won. And the kind of joke was like, oh, this is the last guy that you want to be UFC champ, because now you're like getting all this press and he just has a lot of opportunity to talk and say really crazy shit. And this is his first defense of the title. So the question is he really that good, or did he just have a good night with Israel?
And is it in Vegas?
Canada. Toronto, I think. Yeah, or somewhere in Canada. I don't know where, but I would guess Toronto. So yeah, big weekend.
That's great.
That's it, guys. Thank you for listening. No shout outs, right?
No shout outs.
Okay, great. All right.
No shout outs. We'll hopefully get an update from the boys meeting Javier.
Yeah, we need an update from the boys. Even maybe he could send like a voice note or something we could play, so the fans can hear, the listeners can hear it directly from his mouth. But and then we'll be back on Sunday with an update and keep it cruising. Thank you guys for listening.
Let's go.
Everyone have a great rest of your week. See you later.